the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing in celebrating NASCAR's 50th anniversary. The new surface is just one of the new elements in tonight's NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series battle at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Flattened a little and repaved after nearly 40 years. Figuring out that new surface in a hurry is one of the tricks for the truck racers tonight. But that is certainly not all that's new in truck racing.
The newness continues as the trucks eliminate the unique halfway brake that's been used since the series inception in 1995.
They get it in pretty close to the wall.
Hot pit stops will be the order of the night. They were successful at Pikes Peak last weekend, and it now means that a race can be won or lost in the pits. And it extends the racing strategy from just the racetrack to include pit road.
The 98 truck season has been a story of two champions, Hornaday and Sprague. Jack has led the points virtually the entire first half of the season. No finishes outside of the top 10 until last week at Pikes Peak. A disastrous, career-worst 31st place finish, coupled with Hornaday's 5th win, put the 96 Series champ on top of the points.
A great deal is new in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. A great deal of excitement here in Indianapolis as we gather for the Cummins 200 at Indianapolis Raceway Park. All part of the run-up to the Brickyard 400. Same old guys in the booth. I'm Dave Despain along with Benny Parsons. Happy to be here. Marty Reed and Bill Weber preparing to patrol pit road, which of course takes on a whole new dimension with these active pit stops, these green flag pit stops for the trucks. Homecoming for Randy Tolsma, the USAC star who ran so many laps on this racetrack. Bumps Ron Hornaday very late in qualifying to take the pole. Jack Sprague, the defending series champion, back in third. Benny Parsons, long day at the Speedway, working through the dinner hour. We're proud to have you here, man.
But I get to see a race today, and that's the best part of that. Today I watched cars go around the racetrack one at a time. Now we're seeing 30 of them around the racetrack, actually more than 30. Lonnie Rush back in 16th spot. Rick Corelli crashed during his qualifying run. You told me he will have to start provisional. As a matter of fact, his truck is just now going through inspection. So Corelli had his working out for him tonight.
He cut it even closer than you did, big guy. Benny getting here after the whole run over at the Brickyard that sees Ernie Irvin starting up front for the big race on Saturday. You note that Andy Houston had to take a provisional. He, of course, is one of the rookie leaders. Here's how it'll shape up tonight. Benny, I guess really that pit window is probably the most intriguing element.
It really is, because we will see these guys, the pit crews, at work in the truck series, and some of these guys will try to make it on one stop, and some will try to make it on two stops.
It was a big element last week in Colorado. Let's find out more about Corelli's situation from Marty Reed.
Oh, what a difference a week makes, guys. Winston West at Pikes Peak and Rick Corelli owned the race. Today, he gets the wall in qualifying. They just barely made it out. They put the truck together, and they're not quite sure if they've got the cornering weight set, and they're not sure if the frame's all that straight, but he's out at the back of the field. He's going to do the best he can. Bill Weber?
Similar situation for Forrest Said. Not more than 30 seconds ago, his truck pulled off of pit road. He lost an engine earlier in the day. After the engines fired along the front stretch, they closed the hood on Said's machine. They got it to fire. He got to roll off of pit road. They have no idea how the engine's going to perform. There was no chance to time it, no chance to test anything. So Forrest Said, who starts shotgun on this field, anxious moments up until the green flag, and then even a few laps after.
Everybody has been having to hustle today because of the rain. Let's get a quick look at the onboards. We jump on board with Butch Miller as we get set for a start here. And, of course, the Dana Dodge.
Also, Tony Roper carries an onboard camera. The Ice House Ford, he will start in 19.
There's Tony Raines at the wheel of the Pennzoil truck, coming off a runner-up finish last week, getting set to go to war.
Joe Rubbin carries our precision gear on board. He will be starting outside the third row.
Homecoming for Mike Bliss also this week. Ran the Silver Crown last night and will do the Busch race tomorrow.
And Hensley starts on the outside of the second row. Remember last year what a heartbreaker it was for Hensley to lose this race on the very last lap.
Who did he lose to? Why, it would be this guy, Mr. Hornaday, with whom you will ride from the outside pole. For more on him, let's go to Bill Weber.
Hornaday may be a long way from home, but he's right where he thinks he belongs, on top of the points and at the front of the field. His 5 wins this season are very important to him, but he wants a second championship. Tonight, in the shadow of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Hornaday hopes to show he is a true champion of the sport, and he's on his way to his second title.
If you were watching earlier today, qualifying on ESPN, you know that it rained much of the day. Then the little window in which they qualified. Here, that window provided a brief opportunity for just a little bit of practice, then a very quick qualifying section and time to go racing. But lo and behold, the green is in the air and the Cummins 200 underway, side by side to turn 1.
Got 3 abreast to do that corner.
New racetrack, you've seen it on Thunder. Look at him go 3 wide into 3.
Look at Kevin. You see Kevin Harvick dive down to the inside to make it 3 wide as Tolma will lead that first lap.
Randy Tolma, cross start finish, having set the pace in qualifying, got the drop on Hornaday. That's not an easy thing to do. Sprague is wiggly on the top as Hensley goes by on the bottom.
And several cars going by Sprague as we see Hensley jump into 3rd place. Bliss is now in 4th.
Jack Sprague very loose up off the corner. This track is flatter than it was a year ago when these trucks came here. They took some of the bank out of the top of the racetrack and repaved it. And obviously they're able to run doorpost to doorpost. That's Bliss coming back after Hensley, going by and taking over 3rd. We were very intrigued by what the impact of that paving would be. We watched practice very closely. It was, look at this, 3 wide, Harvick in the middle. He's the sandwich. Sauter on the outside, coming down alongside Mike Wallace in that scramble for position. That's for 7th and 8th.
When you said Sauter, I thought you were talking about sawing the steering wheel, because Sauter was definitely sawing the steering wheel. There we see Henson. Now Joe Ruttman is caught up. And there we see Sprague is now getting his car coming, and we see Bliss is slow and smoke out the back of the Federated Auto Parts Ford.
Well, that's, I guess that's not entirely a surprise. Boris blew that motor in qualifying. They scrambled. Caution, get a new bullet. We got caution on the speedway. Early on in the 6/10 of a mile racetrack, just 4 laps complete. Chris Morton throws the yellow, and it is for Boris, I believe. Let's see.
It looked like there was a line of oil behind his car, some kind of liquid.
Watch this wild action. This will be Boris blowing up, I would expect. There is the telltale smoke.
Yeah, there's the fluid out of the back of the car.
So, for Boris said, it was a very, very short and frustrating night of truck racing here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. He sits hood up on pit road with 5 laps complete. 5 of 200 here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. We'll seize the opportunity for a commercial break and be back with more. Speed World coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series from Indianapolis, brought to you by Quaker State. Sensible technology. What more do you need to know? And by Mopar, Chrysler Corporation parts, and the Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, Jeep, and Eagle dealers who sell and install them. And by Champion Spark Plugs, the winningest spark plugs in motorsports. That's why we call our spark plugs Champion. Set to go back to green, Hornaday with the lead. He beat Tolma back to the yellow and thus holds the advantage as they go back to green and back to turn 1 on lap 9.
Boy, these guys are diving to the bottom of this brand new racetrack, trying to find advantage, trying to see what works down there.
Not a lot of opportunity to sort that out in practice. The session was brief. They'll learn a lot between now and the first pit stop. Benny, we have already equaled, and there's the 75 of Harvick getting a little loose as Bliss goes after Tolma in a battle of the old USAC rivals on this racetrack. Bliss on the bottom, Tolma on the top. This is for second. Bumping and banging. You don't want to do that in those pitches.
No, you certainly don't. Oh, we see that Wayne Anderson has spun the Porter Cable Ford up in turn 2, but he continues on, and guess what? No caution flag. And Bliss is spinning. He's sideways in front of, backing in the wall.
Well, he hit her pretty hard, too. Everybody else managing to sneak by on the bottom, but that 2-wide scuffle with Tolma ends up with Bliss in the concrete. It has not been a good week for Mike Bliss. Last night he burned the right front off the Silver Crown car, driving for George Snyder. Tonight, in the race that matters most for Bliss, he's put it in the wall early and brought out the second caution flag of the night just 11 laps in. He'll limp it back around.
And we see that the left front tire is completely flat, so the entire suspension system dragging the racetrack. That's the sparks that you see. And I tell you, at night, it is quite a show, isn't it?
Here's the incident with the 84 of Anderson. Let's see how he got loose.
It's something similar to what Mike Bliss was doing, under someone, trying to keep off that guy, trying to accelerate at the same time, and the truck goes around.
Meanwhile, in the battle up front, Mike Bliss loops the deuce and backs it into the wall. Started to mention before all that took place that we have already equaled a previous record. One lead change in 3 previous years. We've already had one tonight. Bill Weber's down there with Mike Bliss's bunch.
Well, Mike's got sheet metal damage on the left side. He's now got 2 new left side tires. They're going to pull the sheet metal away. Other than that, it's pretty much routine, other than the fact he's going to have to go to the back of the field. Now they're going to check underneath the left front tire to see if there's any structural damage or to the suspension underneath there. They're going to bang some of that sheet metal away. Some of the tape's been knocked loose off the front of the grill. They're going to check the right side. That looks okay. They also worked on the antenna, so he might have been having some radio communications. Bliss is back on his way out, but he went from 3rd to dead last.
And see, there's no yellow on that right front tire, so I guess he was trying to keep. Let's see if we can see Bliss. From Joe Ruttman's precision gear on board, we see Bliss go in the corner, and that's when he rubbed all the yellow off the right front tire, and he spun trying to keep himself off Randy Tolzman.
So, Bliss, deja vu all over again. Last week, he lost a lap in the pits, lost another to a speeding ticket, came back on both those laps back and finished 6th. So don't count Bliss out of it yet, but he'll start last when we come back to IRP. We're back looking across the tailgate of leader Ron Hornaday's truck at the 2nd place runner right now, Randy Tolzma. Mike Bliss no longer part of that picture. He caused the caution. He's a lap down. Here's how it looked from Mike Bliss's viewpoint as he and Tolzma got at it. There's the touch, and there's the spin. That was not the first touch. They whacked a couple of times there, battling for position. We're back to green on lap 15 with Hornaday out front. Ron Hornaday having led the most laps in the last 3 straight truck races and 5 times in all of 1998. He's used to running up front and now runs up front in the championship point standings. Hornaday took the lead last week in Colorado when Craig blew an engine and had his worst career finish. It was a real roller coaster ride out there for a lot of guys.
Randy Tolzma in the middle of the corner looked like he was trying to see if he could make a run on Ron Hornaday, but we see that he could not, and right in the middle of the corner, he closes up. But when he get on the accelerator, it looks like that Hornaday is pulling away from him just a little bit. Meanwhile, all the front trucks in a line, nose to tail.
Look at the 43 of Jimmy Hensley. Remember a year ago, Ron Hornaday led 200 laps, led the scheduled, or I should say Hensley, led 200 laps here, led the scheduled distance, but the truck races do not finish under yellow. We had a late race caution on that wild and eventful night when Tammy Curtin knocked the wall down and we blew out the transformer on the lights and stayed late. But it ended with a green-white checker at the end of the race, and Hornaday got the drop on Hensley and led just 2 laps, the 2 that mattered most. It was the only lead change of the night. The previous 2 years, Skinner had led this thing wire to wire.
And the thing that we did not tell that night, and probably most people don't realize, that Jimmy Hensley had a flat tire on that restart, is one reason that Hornaday was able to get by. Never see Mike Wallace is currently in 4th spot, has gotten by Joe Ruttman, Purelator Chevrolet.
Wallace knows his way around this joint. Won the Kroger 200 with the Busch Cars here in 1994. Now making his way in the Truck Series. Started from the outside pole last weekend in Colorado. Suspension went bad, wore the tires out. He backed up through the field, but tonight he's looking pretty salty here as he sits in 4th spot, hounded by the 99 of Ruttman. That's the view from Joe's onboard camera from Precision Gear. Right behind them, Jack Sprague, the longtime series leader this year. here, losing the lead, as we said last week, to the motor trouble. For more on Sprague tonight, let's go to Marty.
Yeah, guys, he has fallen from 3rd to 6th. I talked to Dennis Conner. He called in. He says this truck is wicked loose right now. They're hoping that it might tighten up on a longer run, but so far we've had these 2 quick yellows. They don't know what kind of truck they've got. They're hanging on the best they can.
Cannot overemphasize the extent to which these go for the lead. Tolsma had a notion coming up off 2. Got the nose under Hornaday, but couldn't make it stick. Cannot overemphasize the fact that these guys did not get much time to learn this new surface. They had one very short practice session very late in the afternoon, and then had to turn them right back around to qualify. A quick 2-lap session that set the starting order tonight. That probably works in the favor of Tolsma to some extent. He, I would say, with the possible exception of Bliss, has more laps around this place than anybody else out there.
These trucks are running on radial tires, so we just have to assume that they start the race with air pressure a little bit low, hoping that as they run and get warm, the tires get warm, the air pressure will build. And that's probably one reason that Sprague's truck was as loose to begin with as it was. And as the tires heat up, it looks like he is better. He should get better. It looks like he is better.
Take a look at how they're running in the early going here. The Napa field summary shows the Napa truck out front with Hornaday at the head of the class. Sprague leads the second 5. Harvick, the youngster, with Crawford. Raines, last week's runner-up. Setzer in for Keselowski. Randy Renfro's up to 20th from 27th. He was a big story last week in Colorado. Could have won that race in that Dodge, and then had a problem right at the end, and a huge disappointment for that team. They thought they had an opportunity to go win one at Dominic Dawson's Dodge. The troubled guy so far, Bliss in the back, a lap down. Said has blown up.
Well, Said is back on the racetrack. Evidently, he blew an oil line off or something, because he has now returned to the action in the 44 truck.
You can make up 17 laps. Boris, stand on the button.
Oh, here's Rodman. He's got a look. And the contact.
Let's see. Orlando, 1998. Yes, it's all coming back to me.
Man, oh, man.
I bet Wallace remembers that, too. Wallace. And, oh, we got big trouble down in turn 4. Let's see who's all turned around there. That Blake Bainbridge in the 9. You've not seen him before. This is his first truck start. Looks like Norrick's in it. Boris is in it. As if he didn't have enough trouble.
And Scott Walters also.
Scott Walters is the other. A 4-truck tangle down there. 3rd caution of the night. We're on our way to a wreck test here. It'll get worse if he backs up there and somebody runs into him. All right, here's how it all started.
Contact between Bainbridge and Scott Walters, and Bainbridge goes around. Scott Walters goes around. And look, was that Renfro that went right through the middle of that? And here comes Boris. Boom. He just touches the back, and Lance Norrick and Scott Walters meet nose to nose.
Some nights it's not going to be your night, and it looks like one of those for Boris Said. Hornaday showing the way to Tolsma up front. Been a good race, an interesting 28 laps thus far. We'll take a break and be back with more. We're back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, coming up on 31 laps into a 200-lapper, the Cummins 200. We're obviously under caution, and here's why as we ride with Butch Miller, and he watches the action with Scott Walters and Blake Bainbridge.
They made contact going in the corner and just simply could not get away from each other. Here's Boris Said.
Boris is behind this, but going to get involved.
He backs off. I mean, he says, I'm out of this deal. Whoops, I thought I was out of this deal, but he basically just touched the 9 car.
On the other hand, the oil-tight integrity of one of these vehicles was violated. There's a lot of oil on the racetrack. We're thinking it came from Norrick. He's gone behind the wall. Bill can tell us more about Boris's situation.
Well, it was a water line that brought him behind the wall earlier. They didn't get it connected when they were working on that engine problem just before the green flag. But they got that fixed. They sent him back out. He was able to dodge that bullet. His truck owner, Ernie Urban, just showed up a moment ago after winning the pole at the Brickyard. Ernie, congratulations, and I'm sorry. That's all I can say, man.
You know, it's sometimes when it rains it pours, but you know, the Skittles team did me a great job there at the Brickyard, and you know, I'm not going to be able to help them much tonight because
They got here too late, man.
Their problem. Yeah, I'm too late.
See what happens when you win the pole?
Yep, I was too late. But, hey, they can suffer.
He's pretty happy, and so is everybody in the Brickyard, Dave.
I reckon so. 179.39 for the new track record for Ernie Irvin. He out-qualified Dale Jarrett, Jeff Gordon, Kenny Irwin, and Jeff Green, your top 5 here today. It's been a difficult day for Rick Corelli after he won last week in the Winston West car in Colorado. For more on his situation, here's Marty.
Well, he started 30th, guys. He's moved up 8 positions so far, but the problem is the longer the run goes, the looser his truck gets. So we don't know how much more progress he'll make under this run, but should be a little quicker here right off the get-go. Other than that, also Ron Hornaday was talking about his truck tightening up as the run continued. So everybody's got a little bit of different set of problems, and the adjustments are going to be fun to watch here in the first round of pit stops.
Well, I, for one, would like to see a long green flag run. We'll take a shot at it right now as the green goes in the air to start lap 34. Scott Walters on the bottom. No luck to try to get his lap back. Tolsma couldn't get the jump on Hornaday, but then who can? And here come the rest of them.
Mike Bliss on the bottom of the racetrack.
He doesn't appear to be going anywhere, does he? He's backing up a little bit as he tries to work his way from 1 lap down back into contention. Now Walters is really limping after that tangle up in turn 4. Hensley's just been sitting back there, not getting much of a call. He's been 3rd from about lap 2 or 3, and he's sizing up the competition. His Tolsma takes a look on the bottom.
Hensley's going to watch these 2 guys. He's going to watch Hornaday, the old pro in the trucks, and the guy that you talked about that this is like a homecoming to him. He's going to watch these guys battle it out and wear their trucks out. And when it's all over and said and done with it, he's going to go right on by him and win the race. That's what he's thinking anyway.
I did it the other way last year, and it didn't work out, so we'll try to take the lead late this year. This is for 7th. A couple of the youngsters there. It's Harvick trying to get alongside Sauter and couldn't quite pull it off. Raines, on the other hand, is down on the bottom and trying to move on the Granger truck of the Cintas rookie contender Greg Biffle. Look out, boys.
Man, a little bit of beating and banging there coming off the corner.
Oh, yellow looked good on the side of that thing. Whack. Everybody gathers him up and keeps on trucking. Biffle comes out with the spot, and that is 10th. That's the tail end of the top 10 with a contact there.
Kevin Harvick has been impressive this year in about anything he's been in. If I'm not mistaken, he's leading the Winston West in point standings right now. And we see Andy Houston slow up on top of the racetrack. I guess that's down the backstretch now.
We mentioned Cintas Rookie of the Year. He is the leader in that division as the 57 of Scott Hansen goes by, and obviously Andy's off the pace. That'll be good news for Biffle, who's tail end of the top 10 and has the opportunity, depending on how this all plays out, for Houston to gain some points in the chase for the rookie championship.
I'm not too sure that Houston has not smacked the wall with the right side. Next time he comes by, I'll try to take a look. That time as he went by, I might not look after all because I might be watching this.
I was going to say, you might miss fast for the lead if you do. Yeah, the left side of the truck certainly was clean. Let's see if maybe the replay will help.
Yeah.
Boom.
That was correct. He has hit the wall with the right side of his car and pancaked it. There we see the 75 of Harvick. I'm sorry, that's Sprague. As he tries to dive under Rutman, he's telling Joe, now that's just a little message to Rutman. Look, Joe, go on, will you? The 52 car Wallace, see those guys are driving away. Go on, Joe, pass the 52. If you don't, we're going to have a wreck.
A little encouragement from Jack for his old buddy Joe. They have mixed it up a bunch. Joe says, well, maybe I better get on the horse and do what Jack says, and by he goes. There's Sprague. Now you figure out how to get around it.
It worked, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It worked out pretty well.
That was really amazing.
You figured that out before it ever happened. Sprague says, yeah, I could do that too. He comes alongside, and Wallace loses 2 spots in a lap. You remember Orlando as Wallace and Rutman collided. Rutman got to the side of him late in the race. Made for a wild finish. Hornaday won it. Houston continues to limp around as the leaders go by. Hornaday is taking control.
But Joe Rutman, the last lap, was the fastest truck of the top 6. So, you know, could be he's got something.
Joe Rutman, long-time veteran of this game. Told us a great story when we were out in California about racing at Riverside in 1962. Do the math. 37 years in the business for Ruttman. Well, the chase is on at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Hornaday is the chasee, and it's Tolsma in hot pursuit. Let's take a commercial break. We'll be right back. Ron Hornaday is accustomed to leading, accustomed to pressure. He's getting a lot of it tonight from Tolsma. Here comes your top 5. Behind him, it's a war. There's Wallace. He's 6th. Then comes Sauter, Harvick, Crawford. Who else is in? Biffle. 50 of Biff.
Raines.
15 of Raines.
Sensor trying to get by Raines.
That one's been going on for a long time. I made a mistake a minute ago, by the way. I said that Corelli won the Winston West race. Harvick won the Winston West race in Colorado. Hello. Just a touch to let you know I'm here.
That's Dennis. We're riding along with Tony Raines. Pennzoil yellow freight truck as Sensor tries to freight train by him.
You can wreck that way if you're not careful.
I'll tell you what, that 29 truck, that Mopar truck, looks good tonight.
Solid on the bottom, isn't it?
Yes, very solid.
You can keep it down on that yellow line. You go, ooh, there's the one that'll put him back in his position.
I think I'll ride a couple laps and get my heart back in my chest.
Keselowski hated if I tore up this pretty limited truck. Hey, ain't scared. He's going to get it right back up in there again. Good race. This is for 11th and 12th. Raines and Setzer having at it. Setzer's not going to quit. He wants that spot.
He does want that spot.
More from Weber on the situation with Raines.
Well, obviously, Tony Raines is looking to make another strong run here tonight. Now, he had an opportunity to drive in the Brickyard 400. That was going to be this weekend. But Robbie Gordon is in that car because this series goes to Loudon, New Hampshire. On Sunday, he will have it run 3 races in 4 days. They decided, hey, man, I don't think that's a good idea. So we'll run the truck race here and the truck race at Loudon. And the 19 Winston Cup car for Yellow Freight, that's all of Robbie Gordon.
Jack Sprague's been able to get by Ruttman. Now he's gotten by Hensley and sets his sights on Rex car, next truck, Randy Tolsma, and then the leader. Oh, we got a spin. Finally, Tony Raines goes around. Yeah, wonder how that happened.
Wonder how that happened. Wonder what the replay will show us about that. Well, Raines is going to be a busy boy, but tonight he's going to have his hands full trying to catch up after that incident. And that is going to be, what is it, our 4th caution of the night, I believe, with Tony getting turned around. We'll see how it came about.
And unfortunately, it won't start.
No,
that's the saddest part about it is he's okay. It doesn't look like he has damage on it, but it will not start.
Here's how it happened. Setzer alongside Raines as they went in the corner.
And Raines goes around. We can only assume that there was some contact between Setzer on the left rear. His right front touched the left rear of Raines. And Raines goes around. I don't think he's made any contact at all with the wall, but the engine stalled and would not restart. He's still sitting there. Where's my wreck? Where's a wrecker?
Give me a push here.
Give me a push. Here comes a pickup. I hope it's got a push bumper on the back of it. It might get him started.
Yeah, let's hope it goes better next time. Hope it goes better when he gets that Winston Cup thing cranked up. Here comes that wrecker to give him a shout as the leaders come working by. Don't worry about bending it. Just get it started. Let's take a look from Tony's onboard as this thing got started.
Coming off.
Well, as we've said before, wrecking's noisy. Pretty obvious what took place there. You knew that was coming.
Yeah. You
had to head all over him there for a couple of laps, and finally the contact was sufficient to turn him around. Raines is up and running again. We'll take a break and be back with more. We're back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, which is a busy place. Silver Crown last night, trucks tonight, Kroger 200 tomorrow night. The NASCAR Busch Series is on ESPN. Randy LaJoy, your defending champion in that one. Always a lot of controversy at that baby. We're back to green in this one with Raines back there on the tail end of the lead, or a lap down, maybe 2 laps down after that. Yeah, 2 laps down after that incident that brought out the 4th caution of the night. We've been good for about 10 to 15 laps at a whack, and then we get a caution flag. He has settled in between the leader Hornaday and the race-long runner-up Tolsma. Meanwhile, Sprague is on the move.
Tony Raines trying to take a look, trying to get a lap back.
Ruttman side by side on Hensley will take that spot.
Now Mike Wallace is trying to take the spot away.
Those guys had blitzed by Wallace pretty effectively before the caution, but on cold tires, looks like Mike's come back to life there and has come up to race him. Here's for 2nd spot. Sprague coming alongside Tolsma. That's a fast truck. Before the previous caution, it was the fastest truck on the speedway. Fast enough to go around Tolsma and drop him to 3rd. Ruttman says, I'll take you on next. The wild card in that, of course, is the lap truck of Raines, which was a decent truck, a top 10 truck before the wreck. Doesn't look like the accident has hurt it much. He's able to run the same pace as the leader. Boy, that's frustrating. Be as fast as the best guy out there, but you're 2 laps down.
Yes, it is.
Setzer, meanwhile, goes after the Granger number 50 of your potential Rookie of the Year point leader here, Greg Biffle. With Houston having trouble, Biffle's in great shape if he doesn't wreck right here with Setzer, and he doesn't.
Wow.
But I don't know how.
No, they did. They wrecked. They just didn't bring out the caution flag.
They just didn't hit anything. They started to hit each other pretty good. And I think Biffle did get into the wall a little bit. I'm sure we'll see in the replay, but Setzer is certainly creating some excitement out there. He jumps right back at the gas and says, hey, I'm still racing. It's in one piece. Man.
That's B.A. Wilson. He's trying to go on the outside, the 85 truck. Tony Roper back there in 55.
B.A. had a great qualifying run here. He hadn't done a lot of truck racing. The kid up from Texas, now living in Virginia to do his racing. He came here and timed in 11th tonight. It was good. Still 14th, 15th. Just lost that spot. He'll be 15th. As Setzer falls to 14th. Man. One thing we noticed, Benny, in the sprint midget races here, the line has changed, and the opportunity to run too wide is certainly more evident than it's been in the past. Tonight we're seeing a lot of side-by-side stuff in the trucks, and I think, as you guys say down south, we're fixing to see some more of that as Sprague catches Hornaday.
Yes, we are. We're going to see that 24 truck just turn left and drive up beside the 16. See?
The question is what happens next.
Yeah, exactly.
Drove right by.
Right by. So put Sprague in front. Now Hornaday is going to try to move back on the inside, but his truck will not stick down there.
He's seen his owner, Earnhardt, do that about 3,000 times on ESPN. Thought maybe I can do it too, but didn't have the truck to pull it off. Well, pit strategy is a big deal. Let's hear from Marty.
Well, talk to Ron Hornaday's crew. Fred Graves says our window will start opening at about lap 80. So if we see a yellow after lap 80, don't be surprised to see the Napa Chevrolet in for a pit stop. I just checked with Dennis Conner, who's pitted right next door in the Jack Sprague number 24, and Sprague's truck has just come in nicely. He's just grinning from ear to ear. They're extremely happy to stay on a long run.
It was wicked loose. Now it's just wicked fast. You drive around Hornaday like he just did, you got a stout truck.
Yes, you do. You know that Fred Graves and Ron Hornaday are right now talking on that radio, trying to figure out what they're going to do if that caution flag were to come out and they make a pit stop.
Boys, we might have to win this one in the pits again tonight. They made a 3-stop race out of Pikes Peak last week, and as a result, they won the thing. We'll take a break and see how this plays out. 73 laps are complete at Indianapolis Raceway Park. The Cummins 200 is, 200 laps long. So we're just short of halfway. We anticipate at least one pit stop for everybody. They'll need fuel. We're getting lots of looks at Mike Bliss tonight, number 2. They are not the looks that he wanted us to see. He made up 2 laps last week in Colorado. He's not making up any laps here tonight. He has gone 5 laps down after an early incident that beat the number 2 truck up rather badly. And badly enough that he's well off the pace. Joe Ruttman is looking over the tailgate of Randy Tolsma, who was in 2nd spot for a long time. He's followed Hornaday most of the night. The difference now is that they're all chasing Sprague. Boy, he's got a stout truck.
Dennis Setzer, the 29 Mopar truck, trying to get by Stacy Compton. It's a battle back with a 13th spot. There's Tony Roper, the Ice House truck behind them.
Setzer's been making her happen out there tonight. He's run the short tracks for years and says, hey, truck racing just like stock car racing on Saturday night. You get in there and you bump and grind and beat and bang. The thing to remember about this joint is 0.6 of a mile, 110-mile-an-hour racetrack gets away from you here, you're going to hit pretty hard.
If Stacy Compton had the privilege of watching the replays, get back off. But unfortunately, no TV in that truck, so
well,
he's soldiering on.
And you talk about a guy that's raced around a few Saturday night short tracks. Compton is the man. He's not going to be intimidated by seeing a fender come up on his left. This could get pretty interesting. You got to keep in mind, of course, the issue of championship point standings. Stacy Compton is 5th in the rankings, and he needs to hang on to that. Last week's near hero in the 78 having a run here in mid-pack is Randy Renfro. He's at 19th spot from 27th qualifying. He got the first 5 of those spots pretty quick. Now he's kind of stalled out.
See Butch Miller in the 18 Dana Dodge trying to get by Tammy Jo Kirk. That's Tammy Jo in the 51, the yellow truck. Meanwhile, Brian Ruffner in 66 leading this group. Pirelli. Man, oh man, look at Terry Cook about trying to go 3 deep on the bottom of the racetrack.
There's room to run down there. The difference in the racetrack from years past is that they flattened out the top. The banking used to increase. It was a parabolic banking, as a matter of fact. Now it's flat all the way up 7 degrees, and it allows for 2 racing lines. We've seen them side by side all night long. Up in a ball of fire last week when she got rear-ended by Jerry Glanville after spinning. Busted the fuel cell, tore up the truck. This is for 7th spot, and these guys are getting pretty well acquainted. They've been hooked up in this battle for most of the race, actually. Through 4 cautions, they never seem to get away from one another. It's Kevin Harvick on the bottom and Jay Sauter up on top.
We see Lonnie Rush, the 10 truck, trying to get by Greg Biffle. Meanwhile, we go back up to see Harvick, and we go back to see the 10 truck of Lonnie Rush.
Rush has come from 16, trying to crack the top 10. Ooh, Sauter. I don't know if he took any paint off the right side there or not, but if he didn't, he missed a great opportunity.
And Lonnie Rush will take that spot away. Meanwhile, Harvick still trying his best to get by the street truck of Jay Sauter. He just can't quite make it. He can drive in beside of him.
A couple pretty equal trucks right there. Jay doesn't want to let him have that spot.
No, Jay said, this is my spot. You got to take it from me. I'm not going to give it to you. Sometimes the consequences of that is the same thing that happened to Tony Raines and Dennis Setzer.
I admire these 2 youngsters. They're demonstrating a lot of patience. If you'll look, all the fenders are straight. They've run side by side for a long time. Although Sauter got awful close to the wall there a minute ago. Speaking of side by side, Setzer on the bottom, Compton on the top. That's a pretty picture.
It is a pretty. Isn't that a great picture? These 2 trucks going through there as hard as they can go side by side. Ford on the outside, Dodge on the inside.
And there goes the Dodge.
Give it to the Dodge.
Setzer's running hard here tonight for sure. Trying to scramble back after the earlier tangle that meant that truck up a little bit. Harvick can't find a way around Jay Sauter. Sitting there in 8th, wishing he was 7th.
I tell you what, we had all those caution flags earlier on, and right now there's a lot of trucks that probably said, man, I wish we'd have a caution flag. I need to get in there and change these tires. I didn't make a chassis adjustment. I need to do this. I need to do that. And no one wants to stop on the green flag.
That is a new dimension in truck racing. They have, honest to goodness, legitimate pit stops now. The change was made last week at Pikes Peak, and the upshot, well, the guy you're riding with right here made one extra stop, took an extra set of left side tires, and was fast enough to glue it on the bottom, run them all down, pass them, and win them there.
Joe Ruttman has been able to get by Tolsma. He's now moved into the 3rd spot, trying his best to close in on the 16 truck. They're making a lot of headway right now.
Kind of strung themselves out here for the moment. There you see the intervals.
It looks like Hornaday is closing in, but I guess that Sprague has run across some traffic and has passed a couple of slow cars. If that's not it, Hornaday is coming, or something wrong with that 24 truck.
Yeah, he's not up there putting up any pressure on anybody for the moment. We'll find out what's up with that when we come back. We're at Indianapolis Raceway Park, approaching midway in the Cummins 200. Back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, the Cummins 200 rapidly approaching halfway. Truck on your left is the leader, Jack Sprague. There's second and third from the viewpoint of third. You're on board with Joe Ruttman. In front of him is Ron Hornaday. And way in front of Hornaday is Jack Sprague, whose truck came to life. He was back in about 6th. Thing came in, apparently on the long run with air pressure as the tires heated up. And it got to be a real good truck. And he drove right on by and took the lead. But, hey, BT, what happened to Tony Reddick? Where did he go?
I mean, I just looked a moment ago. He's about a complete straightaway in front of Jack Sprague. Remember, he started on the inside on the restart, folks. He is pulled away from Jack Sprague by a straightaway. So it really was a tough break for Tony Reddick.
Oh, we've got trouble. There's your caution right there. Got a couple up looping. Down the bottom goes Biffle, and who else got involved?
14 of...
Was it Crawford? I thought it was
Rick Crawford. There he is.
He's up and away, and there's Biffle, who lost a great opportunity there because Houston has already had contact with the wall. Biffle's going to come out of this a little better as the caution flag flies, and he'll get back underway. Still on the lead lap. There's Raines. 19, still a lap down, but with a very good truck. I think it got better after he hit the wall up there because he drove away from Hornaday, and then Sprague came up and passed Hornaday, and he just kept on going. Raines got a good truck.
We talked about the yellow markings on the Goodyear. You ever see the 66 and the 6, Corelli and Brian Refner side by side? And Corelli goes in the corner and just spins around. Is this coming off too? Yes, it is. That must have been a different wreck than the one.
Pick a wreck. There's a wreck.
Yeah, pick a wreck. There's a wreck everywhere because that's a completely different wreck than I thought brought the caution flag out, but
that's middle backstretch there.
Yes,
And, the other one was down at 3 and 4 where Biffle and Crawford got tangled up. So it's a multi-truck mishap. 2 multi-truck mishaps. Actually, 1 single truck and 1 multi-truck.
And they're all on pit road. Here they come. Sprague, all of them.
This is the caution they were looking for. The trucks need service, and they've all come to pit road. Marty, it's yours.
All right, we're down here with Jack Sprague, and they are not going to do too much to this truck except give it right side tires. Remember, under the caution, you can only take 2 tires. They'll put 2 cans of fuel in. As we swing over to the right, you'll see Ron Hornaday right with him. Sprague is already out. They are making no changes to Hornaday's truck. They're happy with it. Same with Joe Ruttman. He's having problems getting around some crew members, but he's back out. But a couple of guys got out in front of him.
There's a certain irony in this. What they did in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series racing was eliminate the 100-lap break in a 200-lap race. So what happens? We get a caution at lap 100, and they all come to pit road. The difference is it is a full-on effort by the pit crews to get back out with track position. Sprague was able to hang on to the lead as we go on board with Jimmy Hensley, who has slipped back to 9th spot. A word from the pit road about what they did on the stop.
Well, they had a real good stop, and in fact, right now on the track, he's behind Sprague among the guys that came down pit road. So Hensley had a very good stop. His truck had been tight in traffic, especially in the turns. And also keep in mind, Jimmy Hensley not feeling well. He was sick last week at Pikes Peak, still not feeling 100%. But right now, keep one other thing in mind. That Jimmy Hensley might have gotten
Richard Petty give them boys a bonus. That was a heck of a pit stop. He went in 9th, came out 2nd.
Great pit stop. We see these safety crews over there trying to make sure that Corelli hasn't put anything on the racing surface.
They've been in and out of the pits. We're going to take the commercial break and come back with more from Indianapolis Raceway Park. We're halfway home. Back at Indy, big crowd. I'll tell you what, the race fans have turned out for this 4-day run in Indianapolis. I'd like to have been riding in the back seat when you made that run from the Brickyard over here to IRP tonight. I'll bet it was one of the better drives in your illustrious career. Here's how they went in and came out of pit road.
One today we see lost a couple of spots. Rutman lost 3. Tozma 8 positions. And Hensley jumped from 5th to 2nd.
They will be practicing pit stops in Tolsma's organization this week. Biffle, of course, involved in one of the 2 incidents that brought out this caution flag, and he's got a tire going down there.
Left rear tire is flat. As we see,
tail end of it.
We see some damage to the 14 truck of Crawford. Saw some damage to the left front. It looks, I swear that left rear tire is flat, isn't it?
Well, it looked like it was going flat.
I can't believe the tire is flat.
Biffle at 15th spot. For more on Hensley's situation, back to Bill Weber.
Well, just to point out, that was a 13-second pit stop for Richard Petty's boys, and that's pretty good. And Hensley obviously running well and is getting better and better as the race goes along. The story on the 75 of Kevin Harvick, a little problem getting the fuel into the truck. They believe they got enough in to get to the finish. They believe they did. Seeing is believing, right, BP?
Exactly. They had that same problem in California, putting fuel in that truck.
Yep, they had a caution right after they'd refueled the truck, and everybody was worried about fuel. They didn't have their cans. They borrowed one, and it didn't get the fuel in. Raines has got an interesting thing going on here, Marty.
Well, he's already picked back up one of those laps, and one of the points that we need to make is, remember when he had that spin after Setzer got into him, he came in and got right side tires. He got back on one of those laps, then the yellow came out, so they were able to top off fuel, put fresh tires again on the right side, so it'll be interesting to see if he can get back on the lead lap here. We'll keep an eye on him.
All right, Raines, 1 lap down, and the first truck a lap down at 24th starting spot. Hey, there's the king. He's been around, patted all the boys on the back, said, yeah, we've been making pit stops for years. We got that part of it figured out. We'll take a commercial break and be right back. 106 of 200 laps complete here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Silver Crown race last night, won by Jason Leffler. Tonight, the trucks having at it. Tomorrow night, the Busch Grand National cars are here. And, of course, on Saturday, the finale is the Brickyard 400, and you'll see it live on ABC at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Going to be a heck of a race.
And Jeff Gordon will start 3rd, the same spot that he started when he won the race in 1994.
And alongside will be his old open-wheel rival, Kenny Irwin, with a great qualifying run today. He'll line up 4th. Very emotional day for Irwin. The front row will be the Fords of Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett. Here's how they're running in the Napa Field summary with 94 to go. Sprague with a strong truck. Hensley with a great pit stop. Wallace with good success in the pits. Hornaday had led a lot early, slips back to 4th. Sauter is up to 5th, and Harvick back to 7th. And Sauter is saying, man, I'm finally rid of him, at least for a little while. Rutman is in between them. Crawford indeed does have damage. They've taken the number 14 truck behind the wall as we take you back through the rest of the field. Hey, Weber, Parsons, 3.5 hours of rain fill this afternoon, an hour and a half of qualifying a truck race tonight. Let's go to the go-kart track when this thing is over. Get some more racing in today. What do you say? Been a busy, busy day for ESPN and ESPN2.
Yeah, I don't think that we'll be going to the go-kart track since we have an 8 o'clock meeting in the morning.
You about done for the day, yeah? I'll tell you what, though, after all the excitement of qualifying over to Brickyard, this is a nice way to put the cap on it tonight. This has been an interesting truck race so far. We saw a great one in California, and now we're back with a good one. And in between, the other network got to do a pretty good show out in Colorado. This truck racing series has really come alive at the midway point.
Looks like it has.
1998. What's up with Rick Crawford? Marty can tell us.
Well, in good old NASCAR terminology, it blowed up, boys. They're done for the night, frustrated, pushing it back towards the transporter.
That's a bad break for
What if that had, Marty, trying to find out if that had something to do with the spin out and the crash over there?
According to the guys, they just said it gave them no warning. And they just said it all of a sudden, it just ceased. It was done.
Well, Biffle was right behind Crawford, so I guess he goes in the corner. And, in fact, the engine blew up, and that's when Biffle ran in the back.
There's the oil. That's what spins Biffle around. And he was lucky because he was able to gather things back up after his second incident of the night. And to retake 15th position on the racetrack will be on the restart. Tony Raines, with a very good truck, is going to be able to pull up alongside the leader, Jack Sprague. And if he can do what he did on the last restart, drive away from Sprague on a little fresher tires, he'll be back on the tail end of the lead lap. Sprague is going to try very hard to keep that from happening.
But unfortunately, Sprague now has fresh tires as well.
And here we go to see how it all plays out. The green is in the air on 110.
Fits in that slot between the first and second place trucks. There's our second place truck, Jimmy Hensley, the Cummins Dodge, and here goes Raines.
Tony working on him to get back on the lead lap. Tony Raines on the bottom, runner-up last week in Colorado, drives right around Jack Sprague. And here comes the Cummins Dodge, side by side for the lead with Mike Wallace all over him in third. Good battle. Excited, Richard. Calm down.
Calm down, Richard. It's bad on your nerves there to get so excited.
Look at Wallace. But he put Sprague away, too, and Hornaday's coming next.
But we saw this exact same thing happen at the start of the race. Evidently, they're starting these tires a little bit low. When this truck, when the 24 truck comes in, he's going to be good. But how far is he going back before he gets those tires built up?
The answer the first time was 6th. He's 3rd. So I don't think Jack's got a lot to worry about yet.
And I think Sauter got in the back of someone because some spots changed hands as Joe Rudman gets by. Remember Rudman had gone back to 6th spot, and here comes Harvick on the inside of Hornaday.
Harvick got better on the pit stop. He drove around Sauter. He tried the whole first half of the race to do that. This time he did it in a couple of laps, picks up that spot, and moves into 6th, right behind Hornaday, who is 5th and struggling a little bit. Rudman up to 4th. Ahead of them, Sprague, Wallace, and the leader, Hensley. A lot of action in this one.
You ever seen that now? Jay Sauter's trying to get on the inside of Kevin Harvick. But meanwhile, here goes Sensor on the outside of Sauter.
Who could you add to this two-truck race to make it any more exciting? How about Sensor?
Sensor must have had a great pit stop as well. Or is he a lap down?
No, he's right there in the thick of it. He's 8th.
He's not going to be 8 much longer, boys. Tied up there in the backstretch.
Sauter put a pretty good fender into the side of the 75, but the kid Harvick was able to go on by. Now Sensor goes with him. All that action behind gives Hornaday a little opportunity to get away. Last thing he needs is these guys running up his tailpipe.
Hey, what? My hat's off to Keselowski, Ron, and those guys in the pits. Here comes Sensor right on the inside of Harvick. Tell you what, this Dodge is running well tonight, a Sensor.
Thing stout, and there's a Dodge leading the race. Big night. When you got your name, the sponsor's name on the event, you want to run well. We've got the Cummins Dodge leading it, and with that pass right there, Sensor is going to pick up another position as well. He's 6th and knocking on the door of the top 5.
Man, look at that truck go.
Check out some of the guys a little further back. We haven't given Butch Miller a call yet. He'll get one now as we go on board his truck.
16th. That's Kevin Zawinski, the 31 truck, right behind him in 17th. Butch Miller, the Dana Dodge. There's Zawinski. I think Anderson's a lap down. No, he's not.
Remember, he gathered it back up and kept going, so he stayed on the lap, so he is in 18th spot.
That's right. Here we see Sprague. I think those tires are building back up, or whatever they're doing. It's starting to come back in because he's trying to put some heat, or starting to put some heat on Mike Wallace.
That's for 2nd. Hensley out front, right there, gap 3 truck lengths. The lap truck of number 19 in front of them, Tony Raines. Ran away from him on the last green flag segment, getting back 1 lap. Now trying to get back the other lap. update what's happening with Randy Tolsma. He had slipped back out of the top 10. He's now trying to work his way back in as he works on the 35 of Ron Barfield. This happening behind Sauter, who's lost a little something.
Yes, he has.
While Harvick has gone forward to 7th, Sauter in 8th has lost contact with him, as they say. There's a big gap between those two. Ooh. Sprague working hard on Wallace now.
Yes.
He's got Rutman behind him. Needs to get going. Let's see. This is kind of familiar.
And look at this. Sensor goes on the outside of Hornaday and says, "See you, Ron."
Man. The Keselowski brothers are pretty proud of the way their truck is running tonight. Sensor making a very big impact in truck racing here. And what is this, his 3rd, maybe 4th start in that truck since Keselowski had to step out of it. He's got back trouble. He told me in California, it's just laughed and says just years of abuse, years of not taking care of myself.
We see Sprague and Joe Rutman been able to get by Mike Wallace.
Remember that happened in the Bird segment. They followed Wallace for a long time. Finally, Rutman pushed Sprague by. This is side by side for 8 and 9.
And what's Tolsma? He's going to go by both these guys while they try to determine.
3 wide pass.
Oh, man.
Nice stuff.
Good stuff is right. Tolsma dives on the inside of Barfield. But Barfield's now coming back.
Nice stuff unless you're Sauter. If you're Sauter, you're thinking, well, I didn't like that at all. He was stuck up on the outside, had to lift to keep out of the wall, and lost 2 spots in the process. So Tolsma has gotten a lot better in a hurry. He was strong early on. Slipped all the way from 4th to 12th. Remember, the bad pit stop was the culprit there. But the truck is good, and so the driver is now doing his part to get it back.
Stacy Compton closes up right on the back bumper, the 86 Royal Crown truck. And there's Roper, the Ice House.
Stacy's been pretty quiet tonight, lurking outside the top 10 for much of the evening, but he's a top 5 truck in the championship standings, 5th ranked behind Reigns.
Sprague is closing in. I know Jimmy Hensley's looking in the mirror and don't want to see that, but and here we go. Here comes Setzer again.
Setzer going to drive up her pass all these guys. He's working on Wallace, working on him hard.
This is 4th, bound for 4th spot.
See ya.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Momentum counts for something.
And guess what?
Sprague.
He has gone back to the lead.
Fun while it lasted, Jimmy. Yep. Jack Sprague is a heck of a truck racer. He's found himself a home in this league. He likes it a lot. There was talk about him moving up to Winston Cup, trying a few races. That kind of got complicated because of the internal workings of the team and the lack of a sponsor on that truck until recently. Now GMAC has come on board. Meanwhile, Setzer and Wallace continue to have at it. Mike is 4th. Dennis is 5th. He's been, look at that march from 13th to 5th. Very impressive from a 15th starting spot. It hasn't always been pretty, but it has been effective.
And Setzer said, I don't need this. I'm telling you, I've only got 70 laps to go up there and try to get race with Jack Sprague. Ever see the 10 truck of Lonnie Rush been able to get by the 55 of Tony Roper. He's been able to get by the 50 of Biffle. Now Biffle's going to try to go up and do something with Tony Roper. A battle for the 13th through 14th positions.
Lucky number 13 for Lonnie Rush. And that'll drop the guy with whom you are riding to 14th spot. Roper, the new pilot of the Ice House beer machine. The Granger truck behind him, Greg Biffle. We'll take a break and be right back. Mike Wallace has been a contender to win this race tonight. Now he is on pit road. Problems for the 52. Marty is there.
Yeah, he shut the motor off going into turn 1, and then he reported in that he had lost oil pressure, and he shut the motor off, coasted in. They're working underneath, but their chances of winning have obviously disappeared.
That was a good truck. There's a fan belt fan belt?
Yeah, got a fan belt in his hands.
Now this is Wallace before the motor blew. I don't know if he touched it or not, but if he didn't, he missed a great opportunity. Well, that's a bad break for Wallace. That was a strong truck.
When you get up high like that, there's a lot of debris on the racetrack. It could be that some of that debris came up and knocked the oil pump belt off.
Oh.
That happens sometimes, and when you do that, you lose oil pressure, obviously.
The other side of that is, if he was quick enough to the switch, they might be able to put a belt back on and get back out. Or what?
You never are. You never are.
Can't get it. You just can't be that quick.
You're not that quick.
Heck of a theory, though. That yellow truck in front of the leaders is Raines, and that black and red truck behind him is now second on the racetrack. That's Ruttman.
Is Joe Ruttman, and I tell you what, it looks to me like that Joe might be closing in just a little bit on Jack Sprague.
Raines had driven away from Sprague a little bit. That interval when we went to the commercial break was 3 or 4 times what it is now, and worked his way to the tail end of the lead lap. Battle of the Dodgers right there, and around goes the 29 of Dennis Setzer into 4th spot. Benny, he is the man of the race, in my opinion, thus far, in 3rd spot. This is a great drive for Setzer.
Yes, it is.
Everybody believes that except Tony Raines. You might want to quarrel with that a little bit. Raines is a lap down because of his tangle with Setzer, but Raines to the wall. The point about Raines was it's been a good truck all night. He was able to drive away from Sprague, and he's on the tail end of the lead lap. Let's get more on what's up with the 43 truck as Jimmy Hensley loses another spot. Bill Weber.
Well, he's a little disappointed as he heads down the front stretch. Obviously, they made an air pressure adjustment during their caution flag pit stop. Of course, they took on 2 right-side tires, but basically his truck is tight in the center of the turn. Then he says it moves off, so the handling has gone away. I tried to talk to Richard Petty during that caution we had a number of laps ago, but he opted not to talk. He didn't want to change their first run. He is encouraging his driver. You can make it happen. Stick with it. So they're still hoping that Hensley can fight his way to the front.
Well, he just made that pass happen pretty impressively, although I'm not sure Setzer's going to let it stick. This is back and forth for 3rd and 4th between Hensley and Setzer.
That was McDonald 26.
I'm sorry.
McDonald 26.
Yes, it was. That means that the Dodge race recap will show those 2 Dodges back in 3rd and 4th position as we check the rest of the numbers that matter, though. You got to watch fast. There we go. Sprague has taken over from Hornaday in terms of dominating this event. We have had 4 lead changes, which is 4 times as many as we've had in the entire previous history of the race. A lot of caution tonight. When they get side by side, they tend to bump into one another. Hornaday and Sprague each with 62 laps led, and Crawford has blown the motor and gone behind the wall.
There's Jack Sprague, leader, as he tries to put Tony Raines back a lap down. Raines right now in 23rd spot, 1 lap. Right on the tail end of the lead lap. And meanwhile, Sprague has got to go because look right behind him, just 5 or 6 car lengths is Joe Ruttman, Exide Batteries Ford.
Wallace is out of the race now. It's official. Let's go to Marty.
Well, Mike, 2nd week in a row, you had a front-running truck. This time, the belt's coming off everywhere.
Marty, we just have no luck at all. You know, Pure 1 truck was running great. Schrader team did great pit stop. We just have no luck. We can have a fast truck and can't seem to finish. Had some type of failure on the front of the motor where we lost the belt. I thought we were going to bring one home tonight. You know, I left home, told Carl and the kids we'd probably win one tonight. I guess we'll try to win the Busch Racing Andy's car tomorrow night, go on aloud and try to win one there.
Hey, guys, you worked the Winston West race with us last weekend. He did a good job there.
Well, Mike would much rather win a race and be a TV star. Tammy Kirk's got trouble, and there's a big break for Tony Raines right there. Kirk is apparently blown up.
Caution flag is out, and yes, big time.
Man,
Tremendous amount of smoke out the back of that truck.
Sprague didn't get around him there, did he? I was watching something else. I don't think he did. I think that's going to put enable Raines to go on around as Sprague, the race leader, had been caught by Ruttman. We're back under caution here. There's been a lot of that tonight. We're at the 3/4 mark here in the event. There's the view from Ruttman as he takes a look at the leader and said, I could pass him. We'll do that right after the commercial.
Caution flag pit stop at IRP. Two left side tires for Jimmy Hensley. He got beat out of the pits by Dennis Setzer. To Marty Reed.
Right side tires for the 24. That means he's staying with the left side as he's had since the beginning of the race. And left side tires for the second place truck of the Ron Hornaday. And then Joe Ruttman stalled and had to be pushed to get back out onto the racetrack.
Man, what a tough break for Joe Ruttman. Running in second spot. Looked like he might be gaining on Sprague. And guess what? Stall the truck in the pits had to be pushed out. Tough break.
Did you have this figured? Do you think they were all coming?
No, I didn't. I thought some of the guys back, 12 on back might pit and change left side, but I had no idea that the leaders would all dive down with just 50 laps to go.
Sprague says, I want tires, and they all had to come with him, and so the leaders have all pitted here with 49 laps remaining in this Cummins 200. Bliss is on pit road. He's 29th and a million laps down. Where's the scoring monitor?
7 laps down.
7 laps down for Bliss. Tough luck last night. Burned the right front off George Snyder's Silver Crown car, running as a teammate to Tony Stewart. Tony was pretty impressive last night as he came through the traffic to finish 5th. Boris Seds had a tough night here tonight. He's being stopped on pit road there, and now will be able to return to the battleground, but he too is many laps down, 20 behind.
Hey, Benny, I think these guys were coming anyway. A lot of them followed the 24 truck down pit road, but like Hensley and the 29 of Setzer, they were coming anyway. They had nothing to lose. Their handling was good, but not great, and they sure weren't catching the leader the way they were. So basically, they came down because they had no choice and had nothing to lose, don't you think?
Well, they had nothing to lose because you're right. They're not going to catch Sprague, but they give up track position to so many trucks. Right now, Jack Sprague is running in 7th spot. He has 6 trucks in front of him that he has to get by, and he's only got 48 laps now to do it, Bill.
But we saw how good those tires were on the 19, remember, when he went back out, so that could be the big factor here, whether or not your tires are good enough, quick enough to get your laps back in 50 laps.
Could be a factor. This is going to be interesting how this shakes out.
Well, we're going to find out how it plays out. Ron Barfield stayed on the racetrack and leads the race. Lonnie Rush didn't fit. Neither did the Ice House truck of Roper or Biffle, Henderson, and Cook. 1 3/4 races into the pit stop history of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Benny, I'd say good call.
Now we know exactly why NASCAR made this decision to have the pit stops count, because we have just totally changed this race. I mean, Jack Sprague, if this had been a halfway break, he'd have gone in, changed 4 tires, made the changes, he'd have been back out front. And right now, Jack Sprague is back in 7th spot and has to work his way through some serious traffic.
And Sprague is back there with new right side tires, while Hornaday got new lefts. We're going over to the Kroger 200 tomorrow night on the big network, ESPN. Got to keep your network straight here. We have a couple of them. And then, of course, we have the mothership, ABC. They own the whole banana. They're going to have the Brickyard 400 on Saturday. That's live at 1 o'clock Eastern time. What's Gordon doing up there? Urban's on the pole. Well, Jeff's going to go. Anyway, that big race is coming up on Saturday. Gordon won the inaugural. Marty has an update from pit road as we get set to go back to green.
All right, this is interesting strategy, guys. Dennis Conner brought Jack Sprague in. He decided that they needed right side tires. That means they're still on the original left side rubber. Ron Hornaday followed, but they went with left side tires. We're going to find out which crew chief just made the right call.
And we're going to find it out quickly as we go green. The leader is Barfield. Best career finish, 5th at Homestead this year. In the traffic jam are the leaders. In the oil drive.
In the oil drive. Man, look at the oil drive. There's Gary St. Amant in the 77.
Hornaday inside Bliss, or inside Sprague, right behind the lap truck, the tail end of the lead 6 truck, Terry Cook, and in a traffic jam. This is going to get tight.
And he gets by Jack Sprague with those left sides now. He's trying to battle Wayne Anderson. This is a battle for 5th spot.
Same story for Sprague. Right after green on cold tires, he goes backwards, now gets into the side of Cook a little bit.
Dennis Setzer making 3 wide down the front stretch.
Man, boy, that Dodge has been stout all night, and Setzer is literally driving the wheels off of it. Well, maybe not literally, it still has the wheels on. This is for 2nd if you count those 5 guys in front of him as sitting ducks, but I'm not sure that's fair. A lot of trucks to pass here. Those guys are on old tires.
Here comes Setzer. He gets by Anderson. Meanwhile, battling for the lead. Here goes Lonnie Rush by Ron Barfield. And we got a crash up in the corner.
Cook into the wall, and that battle for 5th spot as the longtime race log leaders came by. Cook got tangled with somebody apparently and got into the concrete.
Man, oh, that's too bad.
Big time damage on the back of the David Hodson owned number 88.
No, David Hodson owns 86.
Sorry about that.
That's the Raw Crown. Here we see, there we see Tolsma on the inside, and there we see the contact between Randy Tolsma and Terry Cook, and bam, in the wall goes Cook. Look at all those trucks going by. How in the world someone didn't run over him is beyond me.
We're all paying attention. Since Duke Thorson, of course, will be paying the bills for the repairs on the 88. As well, now that would be an interesting report. We hear radio traffic indicating that Sprague might come to pit road. That would startle me.
That would startle me.
Truck backed up on every restart tonight, if I remember correctly. He backed up on the first start of the race and then did so, let's see, twice more, I guess, and now appears to be following that same pattern as we get down to the time when it matters most. On to pit road goes the 19 of Tony Raines.
Now he's going to stop, change left sides because Raines is now back in the lead lap.
Cook getting damage, but getting damage repair, but for Raines, it's a strategic stop. Here's another look at what happened.
Joe
Ruttman to the left rear.
Yeah, Joe Ruttman right behind this wreck, and he said, thank goodness Terry Cook stayed up on the outside wall. Terry Cook said, why, Lee?
He got both ends of it.
But they get him back out. I don't think he's going to get lapped. He's coming down pit road, so. And the signal from Chris Morgan, 1 lap to go to green.
Lonnie Rush will lead the truck race here. This thing's getting down to decision time with 161 laps in. We'll take a quick break and come back with more from Indianapolis Raceway Park. Jack Sprague did not pit. Yes, Ron Hornaday is stout on the restart. Here he comes, working on Lonnie Rush, and this is for Lonnie Rush is the leader, working on Ron Barfield for 2nd spot. Rush jumped him big time and is pulled away to the lead. Hornaday will be coming after him. Remember, Rush is on old tires.
Now Barfield's trying to look back, but meanwhile on the inside is Tony Ruffer.
Sprague is a couple of spots back from that, sitting in 6th position.
There we see Sprague, the yellow nose, trying to get on the inside of Greg Biffle. They come off the corner side by side.
Careful, boys.
There's Dennis Setzer trying to get by Biffle. Those guys have met earlier tonight.
Setzer has been involved in every exciting moment tonight, it seems, and now is about to be involved in another one as he goes chasing Sprague through the traffic.
Now we see Sprague trying to get on the inside of the 35 truck of Ron Barfield. He does it.
Barfield getting to run for the big dogs here, but again, remember, this top half-dozen trucks are drivers who did not pit on that previous caution, thus they're on old tires. Marty for more on pit strategy.
Remember that Jack Sprague has always done better the longer the run has gone, but last week at Pikes Peak, every team that did not change left side rubber and went the distance was horrible in the last 25 laps. Randy Tolsma was one of those teams. Now remember, Sprague did not change that left side rubber, and right now Hornaday's pulling away from him.
That was the key for Hornaday last week. They got an extra set of left side tires late in the race, drove around the bottom of the racetrack and won the thing. And now Hornaday is stalking and closing on the leader, Lonnie Rush, while Setzer continues to make life interesting for Jack Sprague in the race for 4th and 5th. Setzer working on the bottom. They're right behind Tony Roper, who is 3rd. Hornaday goes looking for the lead in turn 1. Lonnie, you got some serious company right there, my man.
Serious company. Man's got new left sides on. You're sitting out there with worn left sides, been on there since the get-go. Lonnie says, why me? How could Hornaday have a flat or something, he said.
Don't fight the inevitable, Lonnie. Hang on to what you can get out of this. Quick doing a good job.
He is doing a good job. Meanwhile, Dennis Setser's got by Tony Roper. He's in the 4th spot. Meanwhile, this is a battle for the lead. Here's Hornaday. Here's Lonnie Rush. Oh, boy. Lonnie's still hanging tough. Did I see Ohio State Buckeyes on that truck? Is that something new on Lonnie Rush's truck?
I don't remember seeing that before. It's been the Wharton Coal operation funding that effort for Lonnie Rush, the coal miners from Denver, West Virginia.
And here's Jack Sprague. He said, Lonnie, you did your job just right. You held this Hornaday up long enough for me to catch you.
Now I'm going to pass you both and win the thing. Hornaday will have a word or two to say about that. They both got to get around Rush. He's racing them hard. Lonnie's a good driver. Has had more than his share of bad luck this season. Right now the bad luck is the tires. Here comes Setzer to join this fray.
And he's got 28 more laps to get up here. Here comes Hornaday trying, can't do it. Meanwhile, there is Setzer.
I would think the danger for Rush now is that the 3 fast guys behind.
Oh, we got a crash. Hornaday's in the wall.
I was about to say that Hornaday would get impatient here and move him out of the way. Apparently, it didn't unfold quite that way. The championship point leader, Ron Hornaday, has backed last week's winner and the 5-time winner into the concrete, and we're under caution again with just 26 laps to go. Wow.
Look at the damage on that Napa Chevrolet.
They whacked her, didn't he?
He did whack it.
There's how it happened. Lonnie Rush leads them down into 1.
Sprague on the inside of the 16 of Hornaday. Contact between Sprague and Hornaday, and bam! Hornaday in the wall hard.
Hornaday will have a word with Sprague when this one's over. Here's the view from Tony Roper's truck. That doesn't shed much new light, but Sprague got the right front into Hornaday's left rear, and into the wall goes Ron. That between the 2 men who are battling for the championship.
Comes Hornaday down pit road. Right now, there's 20 cars on the lead lap, so he's best he can go his 20th spot.
Marty's down there.
Now, I got to be honest, guys, I feel like I'm in a bit of a danger zone. I'm right between Jack Sprague's pit and Ron Hornaday's pit, and Hornaday is climbing out. He's not happy. And here he comes. We'll stay with he just wants to go over and say something to Dennis. This is not the kind of scene we were hoping for. These guys have been into each other before. Things are getting a little physical. A couple crew members, NASCAR officials have stepped in. Ron Hornaday being pulled back over by his crew. And I think calmer heads are finally going to prevail down here. But you got to understand, I'm sure Ron Hornaday is upset because of the contact. We'll see if we can get a word with him as soon as he gets done talking to his team.
I knew right away, Marty, that he wasn't going to stop and talk to you, that he had somebody he wanted to talk to worse than you. Here's how it happened. Here's what he's mad about. Well, when Sprague looks at the replay, then he can decide whether he should feel guilty. Meanwhile, Hornaday's climbing back in and to fix this truck. Let me go back out there. Ron restarting Hornaday on ESPN. A little unhappy here this evening. The championship point leader into the wall.
That's Don Hawk, the president of Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, there in the black jacket, trying to calm his driver down before he goes back on the racetrack.
Hornaday says it's going to take him a few laps to get this baby back on the racetrack. I'm going to go get my piece said to the other guy's team. We'll take a break and be right back. At Indianapolis Raceway Park for the lead, Jack Sprague making contact on the left side of Lonnie Rush's truck. Rush comes right back under Sprague's tailgate. Remember, the tires on the number 10 truck are old and worn. Sprague's got fresher tires and was able to drive right by Lonnie. Lonnie put up a heck of a fight and comes back on the inside. Wow.
Did you see that? Did you see Rush go right back by him? I can't believe that.
Man, I'll tell you what, that kid is driving his heart out. And here comes Setzer to challenge Sprague. A three-truck battle for the lead with 19 laps to go. Everything we know about racing says that's what should happen. Rush goes up into the wall. There goes Roper by. He gave it his best shot and overdrove it down into turn one.
Exactly right.
Setzer coming after Sprague. Chevy and Dodge for the lead. Hornaday out of the picture after Sprague got into him going into turn one, bringing out the caution flag. More on Setzer from Bill Weber.
Well, it's been a great run for Dennis Setzer. 2 sets of right side tires. And I talked to Keselowski about 10, 20 laps ago. Now his driver looks underneath the 24, trying to challenge for the lead. I said, how good is Setzer in that 29 run? He said, good enough to win.
Setzer into the wall goes Sprague. Sprague keeps going. Setzer turns it around. He gave it a shot in turn two. Got into Sprague. Couldn't save it. Looped the truck. Wild. I'll tell you what.
And Sprague, I think, made some contact with the wall. The question is how much damage to Jack Sprague's truck.
And can Roper perhaps run him down? Meanwhile, the battles continue as the 19 of Reigns bowls his way past the 3 to take over 9th spot and drop Sauter to the tail end of the top 10. Wild, wild truck competition here this evening. That's Biffle working on Barfield for 5th and 6th. It has been a slugfest at Indianapolis Raceway Park. They repaved the racetrack and said, there you go, truck racers, check that out. Well, check this out. Number 16, Hornaday, returning to the fray. The back end all beat up. He's lost the championship point lead. And here is Dennis Setzer, who got into the leader, Jack Sprague, in the battle for the lead. They're in turn one.
They go down to the corner, side by side. They make, and Setzer gets the truck loose. He goes up, and Sprague just barely touches the wall.
That didn't look like it was hard enough to hurt it.
No, it didn't.
Good to tell in real time, but on the replay, it appeared to be a graze rather than a hit. There he works by the lap truck of Scott Walters, who is multiple laps down. There you see the damage, a little damage to the right side of Sprague's truck as he goes rim riding through the very incident or area in which the incident took place. An eventful night at Indianapolis Raceway Park is drawing to a close. We're at lap 187 of 200. Sprague has worked his way back to the top, bulled his way to the top, Hornaday says. Ron's mad, and Jack, assuming, big assumption with 12 to go, that he's able to keep that thing underneath him to the finish, will retake the point lead. Roper in second. Rush is third after he got into the wall battling for the lead. Here's your Napa Field summary taking him on back.
And look here, Jack Sprague is going by Ron Hornaday.
Oh, boy.
And Hornaday says,
oh, boy. There was a message there. For more on that, let's go to pit road.
Well, guys, Sprague was on the radio. We overheard him saying, if Hornaday comes back out, let me know where he's at. I'm worried he might try and come after me.
Wonder why you think that.
you ever see Jack Sprague? Now, caution flag is out. As we see, Boris said, is spun up in 3 and 4.
It isn't over till it's over. Said has spun. Another chapter in an eventful evening for him. And that means these guys are going to get one more crack at Jack Sprague. It'll come inside 10 laps to go. Boris, wait for an opening and turn that baby around. Man, what a truck race.
Man, oh man.
The Cummins 200. Here's what happened to Boris from Mike Bliss's onboard camera.
Going down in the corner, and boom.
Boris had a little help there, didn't he?
Just some contact, and around he goes, and I don't know who that
Who was that? Don't know. Man, about took the right front off the thing. Look at the damage over there. Unbelievable. 9th caution of the night. What has been a parade, a single file affair at Indianapolis Raceway Park has been a lot different from that tonight. Drag racing, Prolong Northwest Nationals coming up Sunday night on ESPN2. John Force in USA Today this week went out and watched Mark McGwire hit a bunch of home runs and said, you know what, baseball Baseball's great. I really like baseball. It's not like going out and setting yourself on fire every weekend that drag racers do. Talk about a crazy man. He'll be in action at the Prolong Northwest Nationals.
Tony Raines, 2 laps down, has now worked his way back up to the 7th spot as we get set to go green flag racing one more time. What's going to happen now?
I'm betting it'll be nuts. We just got 5 to go. Sprague's out front. Roper is second off a previous best of 6. And there's the number 99 going to the bottom. That'll be Ruttman working on Rush. And Tolfa coming with him. On board with Ruttman. Lonnie Rush has earned everything he's getting here tonight.
I'm telling you. Jack Sprague has already put about 10 car lengths. Here we see Tony Raines down on the inside of Greg Biffle. That's a yellow truck on the right side. It's a battle for the 6th spot.
Great run for Raines. 2 laps down after the tangle with Setzer. Good work on pit road. Great driving on the racetrack. Got his laps back. Worked his way back through the field. Got a shot at the top 5.
Kevin Harvick's trying to get by Barfield for the 8th spot.
Scrambles for position behind the leader. Sprague appears able to take it home from here, but anything can happen and has tonight. Raines working on Tolfa, chasing Ruttman as the laps wind down. In a wild and woolly Cummins 200 at Indianapolis Raceway Park. They're catching Rush. Cannot overemphasize the fact that Lonnie's on those old tires. There's Hornaday looking for Sprague again. Jack says, I'm going to give him a lot of room this time. Hornaday out there just limping around, of course, with a badly damaged truck, trying to collect whatever points he can. Here goes Ruttman to the inside on Rush. On paper, it ought to be easy, but we thought that when Sprague passed him, too, and Lonnie came right back by him.
But Joe Ruttman will take the spot away. Moves him in the 3rd spot.
Ruttman, of course, is in that point battle as well, so he's got a lot riding on that. He's 3rd, inside 100 points out of 2nd in the battle for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship.
Here comes Jack Sprague for the white flag.
A lap from home, Jack Sprague looking for his 5th victory of the year, which will tie Hornaday in terms of wins on the 1998 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Tour. More importantly, he will take over the championship point lead. Great run for Roper with the strategy of staying out on that critical caution that put 6 trucks in front of what had been the leaders all race. Setzer scrambling for a position. It's over. Sprague has won it. There's the crew celebrating as Jack Sprague reassumes his position at the top of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship. A little pyrotechnics at the end from the rookie Wayne Anderson.
No left front tire on that truck, and there's your winning truck.
Career bests tonight for Tony Roper and Lonnie Rush. Congratulations from Roper, who said, man, I feel like I won this baby. I'm 2nd, and I'm just as proud as I can be. Tom Gloy has a very good driver in Tony Roper.
There we see the...
I'm happy to see that.
Napa boys. Congratulating the GMAC boys. That is good.
Yeah. A little bit of a contretemps, as the French would say, between Jack Sprague and Hornaday. And Hornaday got out of the truck during the repairs to go over and have a word with him. May yet have a word with Sprague. But right now, it's all about celebrating the victory as Jack Sprague prepares to climb out. Winner of the Cummins 200 here on ESPN. Hornaday limping back in. The remains of the truck that led in the championship coming in tonight. It is badly damaged. The last time we saw that look in those eyes was when he got the black flag up at Watkins Glen. Cost him the victory.
Okay.
Bill Weber's down there to talk to the winner.
Well, Jack Sprague has pulled here to victory lane on the front stretch at Indianapolis Raceway Park, takes off the helmet and the straps, puts on the cap, and is about to climb from the truck, and we'll see what reaction he gets from the fans here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. And it is, as you might expect, a mixed reaction. But Jack Sprague is in victory lane, and congratulations from his truck owner, John Hendrick. And a brief conversation, and we'll step in here and a handshake. And first of all, congratulations on a big win for you.
Well, first of all, you know, that I feel terrible about that deal with Ron. I was on the bottom lane. I was underneath him. I don't feel like I did anything wrong yet. You know, I was underneath him. I needed to get a lane. And the GMAC
Chevrolet ran awesome. You know, I got to thank GMAC Financial Services and Chevrolet and Quaker State and GM Protection Plan and Rotary Lift and Haas Machinery and everybody involved in this deal and everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. The guys gave me a great truck. Like I said, I got into a run, but I don't feel like I was wrong.
Walk us through that a little bit then, Jack. Tell us from your point of view what happened.
Well, I got underneath him coming off 4 here and went down the front stretch, and I was up to his door. And I went into one on the bottom in the bottom lane, and he was coming down. I seen him. I got in the brakes, but I couldn't go no lower. I was in the bottom lane. So, you know, there's nothing else I could have done. I feel like he should have gave me a lane. He didn't. So, you know.
And you were, as fireworks explode here at IRP, you were in the middle of it a couple of times, involved with the 29 truck when he was battling for the lead with you.
Yeah, the 29 got under me and got into me going into one same deal, and I about bit it. But, you know, it surely wasn't anything intentional. I think he knows that, but he needed to give me some room, you know. I mean, that's just fair play.
And you got the points lead back here tonight.
Well, like I said, it's a win, and it's great for everybody involved, but it's a little tainted over the situation. And, you know, I surely didn't want that to happen, but I don't feel like I was wrong either.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's Jack Sprague, and as you can tell, mixed reaction here from the crowd behind us here on the front stretch at Indianapolis Raceway Park.
Here's the moment in which it all happened in turn 1, and Hornaday's into the concrete, and Sprague is on his way to victory lane. From the other side of the story, here's Marty.
Well, I'm down here with Fred Graves. Ron Hornaday's already went back to the hauler. You just heard what Jack had to say. I felt like Al Bernstein and you were Mills Lane.
Well, you know, we really couldn't see it that good from down here in the pits, and we're going to go back and review the tapes, but you know, it's unfortunate it happened. It was a good race between the two of them, and that's all I can say. I really can't talk intelligently about it because I really couldn't see it from here.
Okay, guys, we'll send it back up top.
I would imagine that is a replay a lot of people are going to watch a lot of times over. Here are the unofficial results. Sprague winning it over Rover with his career best. Rutman 3rd. Raines to 4th. Rush also with his career best, rounding out the top 5. We'll be back to wrap it up after this. Speed World's presentation of a wild night of truck racing in Indianapolis has been brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. And by Pennzoil, specially formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil. And by the new Dodge, it's about change. Now the folks are sticking around here at IRP. Wonder what they're waiting for. Hornaday's gone to the truck, folks. Isn't going to happen. Here are the revised points. Sprague retaking the lead from Hornaday. Rutman gets closer. And Raines saved a lot here tonight with a strong run. Remained in the top 5. Compton had a so-so night. Benny, I think the face of this race changed rather dramatically in year 4. What would you say?
I think it did. I think the pit stops that NASCAR is doing now with the Craftsman Truck Series is the best thing they've done in a good while.
Certainly has made for an interesting and exciting night here. Add the side-by-side racing, and it was wild. Kroger 200 tomorrow night. You'll see more of this kind of stuff as the NASCAR Busch Series rolls in. Next up is Sports Center. Sure hope you've enjoyed the show. Saturday, the big race here from Indianapolis in the summertime. That would be your Brickyard 400. It'll be live on ESPN at 1 o'clock. Our thanks to Bill Weber. Bill, take the rest of the day off. And Marty Reed on pit road. As always, fun to be in the booth with Benny Parsons. Jack Sprague has won the Cummins 200 at Indianapolis Raceway Park. I'm Dave Despain for all of us at ESPN saying congratulations, Jack. Hope you enjoyed it tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night.